Hi there, I'm Alira, at my sister's baby shower. I found out I wasn't invited. No mistake, no oversight, just a clean, quiet decision to leave me out. Worse, they planned it for weeks. My mom helped, my cousins came, and my name was never even mentioned. Then someone sent me a video. And what I saw changed everything. It wasn't just exclusion, it was mockery. So I left. But not quietly. And what happened next? Let's just say, turning the lights on in a family built on shadows? Shocks more than you'd think. What would you have done? I came home that evening bone-tired. The kind of tired that doesn't just settle in your muscles, it seeps into your chest. I tossed my keys onto the counter, kicked off my shoes, and threw my bag onto the couch. The microwave hummed behind me, slowly spinning a plate of last night's pasta. I didn't even care if it was cold. Out of habit, I opened Instagram while waiting. First, a few baby animals, then a coworker's vacation pic. And then, I stopped. Varel. She was glowing in a long floral dress, her hands cupped under her belly. The background. A perfectly staged backyard with pastel balloons, vintage lawn chairs, a 3-tier cake. The caption read, "Celebrating baby bloom with my favorite people. Couldn't feel more loved." The timestamp hit me harder than the photo. It was posted 10 minutes ago. My thumb hovered. I scrolled further. Cousins I hadn't seen in years, our old neighbor, even distant coworkers. My mother, front and center, holding a gift bag with pink tissue exploding out of it. But not one mention of me. Maybe it was a surprise shower. Maybe they'd forgotten to text. I tapped on Jessa's profile. Her best friend since middle school. She had 3 stories tagged at the same party. One said, "Been planning this for weeks. Varel deserves the world." Another showed a custom welcome sign, "Welcome to Baby Bloom's garden." So, no, it wasn't last minute. It wasn't a slip-up. It was deliberate. I tried not to react. I typed a message to Jessa. "Didn't know there was a baby shower today." She replied right away, a selfie, holding a plastic champagne flute clearly mid-laugh. "I thought you didn't like baby showers?" That's what Varel said, LOL. That LOL felt like a slap. I didn't respond. I stared at the message until the screen dimmed. My microwave beeped, but I didn't move. I wasn't hungry anymore. I sat down, the phone still in my hand. The room was silent, except for the low hum of the refrigerator. A memory surfaced. Me sitting on my bed at 17, holding Varel while she sobbed about her first heartbreak. I'd stroked her hair, whispered, "You're not alone." Now she'd told people I didn't like being there, that I wouldn't have wanted to come. Not only had she excluded me, she'd rewritten who I was. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just sat there in that awful stillness, breathing shallow, frozen between disbelief and something that felt dangerously close to resolve. She had made her decision. I just hadn't made mine yet. I don't remember standing up, but somehow I ended up pacing my apartment. My dinner still sat on the table, cold and forgotten, while my thoughts spiraled louder than any alarm. The silence in the room wasn't comforting anymore. It was sharp, thick, accusing. I didn't want to call her. I shouldn't have. But my fingers moved anyway. The phone rang twice before Maris answered, sounding cheery, like it was any other evening. "Hi, sweetheart. Everything okay?" I blinked. "I saw the baby shower," I said, voice flat. "I didn't know there was one today." There was a pause, not long enough to sound surprised, just enough to sound calculated. "Oh, honey, I thought you were working. Varel mentioned you wouldn't be into it, and I didn't want to bother you if you were busy." That tone, sweet like syrup but dense with deflection. "You didn't think to ask me?" I asked. "I've literally been home all day." She let out a tiny chuckle. "You've always said you don't like big crowds. I figured you'd appreciate the space." Space? This wasn't space, it was erasure. "You invited every cousin we haven't seen since before the pandemic," I said quietly. "Oh, come on," she said with a light scoff. "Don't be so dramatic. It was just a silly shower." There it was. That phrase again. Just silly. Nothing. That's what I was to them. Nothing serious enough to be considered. "I gotta go," I said before I hung up. I sat back down, not out of exhaustion this time, but to keep from breaking something. My fingers moved again. I texted my cousin Molly. Did you go to the shower today? Her reply came in seconds. Of course! We've been planning it on the family group chat for weeks, lol. My heart skipped. What group chat? Another pause. Then she sent a screenshot. Operation Baby Bliss. 20 members. My mother, Varel, aunts, even an uncle who lives in Maine. But not me. Photos of centerpiece mock-ups, jokes about the registry, polls for games, weeks of planning, all while pretending I didn't exist. Molly sent a final message. Wait, you're not in it? I didn't reply. Instead, I stared at my reflection in the dark screen of my phone. I looked tired. But under the fatigue, something else lived behind my eyes. Something sharper. They hadn't forgotten me. They'd removed me. And I wasn't going to keep pretending not to notice. I didn't sleep. I didn't even try. I lay on my back staring at the ceiling fan, listening to the soft click of each slow rotation like a metronome for my thoughts. And one memory wouldn't let go. It was from 3 months ago, on a Wednesday. I'd called my mom that morning, careful with my tone. Hey, I've got that conference in Raleigh next week. It's just 3 days. Could you stay at my place? Feed Luna? I'll leave everything ready. There was a pause, followed by a long, pity-laced sigh. Oh, honey, my knees have been awful. Just going up and down the stairs kills me. I wish I could, really. I'd said it was okay. I told her I'd make other arrangements. And I did. I paid a sitter, left frozen meals, rushed home between sessions on FaceTime to check the cameras. It wasn't the help I needed that stung. It was the refusal without even a blink. I wouldn't have thought about it again, except that 2 days into that trip, I opened Instagram. Varel had posted a boomerang of them doing prenatal yoga. In Miami. Mom flew in for my yoga class. So spoiled. I stared at the screen, unsure if I was misreading. The geotag didn't lie. She had flown 3 hours south. The same woman who couldn't walk up the steps in my apartment had put on leggings and joined a stretching circle, arms draped around her younger daughter like they were best friends in a wellness retreat. She looked happy, energized, pleased with herself. I never said a word about it. Not to her. Not to Varel. Not even to myself. I just let it file itself away with the rest of the things I wasn't allowed to feel. But tonight, after the call, the group chat, the glassy smiles, and the "we thought you were busy," tonight, that memory burned differently. This wasn't oversight. This wasn't about forgetting. It was about choosing. And over again, she'd chosen someone else. By the time I reached the venue, the sun had dipped low, casting long shadows over the white gravel driveway. Fairy lights strung through the trees glowed faintly like they were holding their breath. My heels clicked against the path as I approached the garden house, where the celebration still buzzed softly behind glass doors. I stepped inside without a word. The room was warm, over-decorated, soft pinks, gold accents, low music playing something acoustic. Conversations hushed. People turned. Some stared longer than they meant to. Others smiled with polite confusion, unsure whether to wave or wait for someone else to do it first. Varel spotted me. Her smile was fast, strained. "Wow," she said too loud. "You made it after all." I didn't answer. I just let my eyes find Maris, standing near the drink table, sipping from a glass of lemonade like nothing was wrong. She pretended to be adjusting a flower vase. It wasn't just the missing name on a list. It was the way they all shifted, rearranged themselves as I arrived, like I'd entered a play during the wrong act. I took a few more steps. No one asked me to sit. No one offered me a drink. I wasn't part of the plan, and everyone knew it. That's when she appeared. Thalia, Varel's mother-in-law, graceful and curious. She walked over, balancing a champagne flute. "You're Alira, right?" she said kindly. "Varel's sister?" I nodded once. She smiled, then turned to Varel. "I didn't see her name on the seating chart. Was that a mistake?" A visible beat passed. Varel blinked, then said, "We weren't sure if she was coming. It was all last minute." Thalia's expression didn't change, but her eyes sharpened. "Oh? I thought you said the RSVPs were locked weeks ago." The room tensed. Someone coughed. Someone else looked away. I smiled slightly. Not smug, just steady. "I just came to see it for myself," I said. Then I turned to my mother. Don't worry, I won't stay long. Maris's mouth opened, but nothing came out. The party hadn't stopped, but the air had shifted. And for once, I wasn't the one scrambling to explain myself. I walked toward the edge of the garden where the crowd thinned, needing distance from the manufactured smiles. That's when I saw Kara near the dessert table, swirling her drink with a straw she didn't seem interested in using. She glanced up, then over her shoulder, and approached like someone tiptoeing into a room full of glass. Hey, she said, voice low. Didn't think I'd see you here. Yeah, I said, half smiling. Neither did they. Kara exhaled softly. She ever tell you why she stopped talking to me last year? I turned toward her fully now. I assumed life got busy. Varel said you were overwhelmed. She gave a small laugh, bitter. One argument. That's all it took. Next thing I know, she's calling me emotionally draining in a group chat I didn't even know I'd been removed from. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. She's got this way, Kara went on. Makes people believe they're making the decision, but she's already written the script. I nodded slowly. You're not the only one. Kara touched my elbow gently. You're not crazy, Alara. You're just inconvenient to the version of her people like best. She left me standing there, the words settling deep, like dust on old glass finally illuminated. I turned and found Corwin standing a few feet away. He didn't say anything at first, just looked at me like he didn't know where to start. I'm sorry, he finally said. I didn't realize you weren't invited. His voice was strained, careful, like someone stepping into water they thought was shallow but isn't. I'm starting to notice things, he added. Small things, how she talks about people, the things she hides. I studied him for a second. He wasn't making excuses. He wasn't trying to cover for her. He looked like a man who'd found a crack in the wall and couldn't stop staring through it. It's never about one thing, I said quietly. It's about the pattern people pretend not to see until it turns on them. He gave a slow nod, the kind that carries weight. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't have to, because this time someone else was finally listening. The next morning, light spilled across my kitchen table, warm and ordinary. But nothing about me felt ordinary anymore. I sat with a mug of coffee I hadn't touched, phone resting face down beside it. I hadn't planned to open Instagram, but an unfamiliar name slid into my DMs. You probably saw this already, but yikes. My chest tightened. I tapped the link. The clip opened with a boomerang, champagne glasses raised, squeals of laughter. Then it cut. Varel stood in the center of the room, a wine glass in hand, looking radiant and smug. Someone off camera asked, "Where's your sister?" Without missing a beat, Varel grinned. Probably reorganizing her bookshelf alphabetically by trauma. Laughter exploded. She added, "Didn't want the energy police showing up. We kept it light on purpose." Someone chimed in, "You're so bad." The camera panned, catching Thalia's face mid-blink, unreadable but not laughing. I watched it again, and again. Not because I didn't understand, but because I did. It wasn't just a dig. It was a public joke, at my expense, at a celebration I was erased from. I opened my messages, typed something to Varel, deleted it. Instead, I went to my notes, wrote exactly what I felt, simple, controlled, then copied it and opened a new message, not to my sister, to Thalia. You asked if it was a mistake. I think this clip answers that better than I ever could. I attached the video and hit send. A few minutes passed. Then her reply came. I've seen enough. I'm sorry. Just that. But it was everything. I closed my phone, logged out. I wasn't interested in watching the fallout. But for the first time, I wasn't the only one watching what happened next. The afternoon sun barely warmed my apartment through the blinds when my phone rang. I didn't need to look to know who it was. I let it buzz twice before picking up. Hi, Mom, I said flatly. She didn't greet me. I heard you sent that video to Thalia. Straight to it. No hello. No. Are you okay? I did, I said. A pause. Then the edge sharpened. Why would you do that? Do you have any idea how that makes us look? Us. Not me. Not Varel. Us. It wasn't a secret, I replied. They recorded it at her party, Mom. Maris exhaled sharply. People are starting to talk. Your cousins, the neighbors. Do you really think this is helping? Helping who? I asked. Because it's definitely helping me. I'm serious, Elira. Varel is 7 months pregnant. She's hormonal. Things get set out of turn. No, that's not what happened. You're being dramatic, she snapped. What happened to keeping family matters private? This doesn't need to become a circus. I felt my jaw tense. It's always been private. That's how it kept going. You think this is the circus? No, Mom. The real circus is pretending nothing's wrong while your daughter's being mocked on camera by the one person she used to protect. There was silence. A heavy, calculated silence. Then she softened her tone, her favorite weapon. Honey, please don't embarrass the family. We are family. This isn't how we fix things. I didn't flinch. I spent 30 years fixing things that weren't mine to fix. Elira, you're not upset about what happened. You're upset I didn't stay quiet about it. I could hear her breathing shift, like she'd been slapped without contact. You're overreacting. No, I said, voice steady. I'm just not underreacting anymore. And then, I hung up. The call didn't end with a scream. It ended with a decision. Mine. After the call ended, I sat in the quiet for a moment longer. Not broken, just breathing. Then I stood up, walked to the hallway. There was a drawer I hadn't opened in years. The one labeled Keepsakes in Maris's perfect handwriting. I'd found it accidentally a long time ago, stuffed in a box of winter linens she gave me when I moved into this apartment. I never had the heart to throw it away, and never the nerve to really look inside. Until now. I opened the envelope. Dust puffed into the air like something exhaled. Inside were layers of cards and glossy prints. Birthday snapshots, old school events, handwritten letters. Every single one was about Varel. Varel's first communion. To my sunshine girl, love always, Mom. Varel in a tutu, Varel in braces, Varel at prom. Nothing with my name, not even a crooked drawing. My heart didn't break. It hardened. I took out my phone, lined the photos across the floor, snapped shots one by one. No editing, no commentary, just truth. Then I opened my laptop. Subject. Before you believe her version of me, I attached the images. I added one line. This is what it's been like. I'm done pretending it wasn't. Sent to every aunt, cousin, Thalia, Corwin, and yes, Varel. Then I waited. Minutes passed. First reply. Jamie, my cousin. I had no idea, I'm sorry. Then Thalia. This confirms what I sensed. Thank you for trusting us with it. Silence from my mother. Then Corwin. I don't know how you lived with this, Elira. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. I didn't cry. I didn't even smile. I just exhaled, like I'd been holding my breath for decades. Then, inevitably, Varel's email came. All caps, no punctuation. How dare you drag this outside the family? I didn't answer, but Thalia did. Some things deserve sunlight, and that was it. Not a firestorm, not a takedown, just light, pouring in through a door they never expected me to open. It had been a week since the email, not a single word from Varel, no apology, no retaliation, just silence. Maris sent a vague text 2 days after. Let's talk soon. I read it. Let it sit. Never replied. The family group chat? Still active, but like a room no one wanted to walk into first. People posted generic memes, a recipe, a photo of someone's new dog. No one mentioned me, or the video, or the email. That kind of silence? It's not peace. It's avoidance wrapped in civility. But I didn't need noise anymore. I found myself revisiting the email I sent, just to make sure I didn't regret it. Still didn't. I didn't send it out of revenge. I sent it to stop pretending. I deleted the screenshot folder from my phone, not to erase anything, but because I no longer needed proof to believe my own memory. They didn't lose me because I yelled. They lost me because I finally stopped whispering. A few days later, I signed up for a weekend retreat for women in caregiving fields. Burnout and boundaries, topics I knew too well. I met up with Kara again. We had coffee outside under a string of lights, sharing stories that used to feel too heavy to say out loud. She laughed at one point and said, "You know what? I'm proud of you for not burning the whole house down." I smiled. I thought about it. Then she asked, "How's Corwin?" He messaged, said she started therapy. Kara's brow lifted. I shrugged. That's good. She needs it. You gonna be part of that? No. I stirred my tea. I wish her healing. I just won't sit in the room while it happens. The next morning, I stood by the window watching the city wake up below me. People heading to work, coffee in hand, dogs pulling on leashes. I pressed a palm to the glass, not out of sadness, but to feel something solid. This wasn't revenge. It wasn't closure either. But it was clarity. And sometimes, clarity is enough to finally breathe. Sometimes, the hardest part isn't being left out. It's realizing you've spent years trying to earn space in a story that was never written with you in mind. I used to think staying quiet made me strong. That if I just held it together, I'd be seen. That if I didn't rock the boat, I'd be invited aboard. But the truth is, silence doesn't build bridges. It buries you beneath them. And healing? It doesn't come from getting the apology. It comes from knowing you deserve better, even if it never arrives. So if you've ever felt invisible in your own family, if you've been gaslit into thinking your hurt is drama, or your needs are a burden, please hear me when I say this. You are not too much. You were just too real for people who preferred the version of you that didn't speak up. And if that's the cost of peace, I'd choose my voice every time. Now I want to ask you, have you ever had to walk away from a relationship just to remember who you were? What helped you finally speak up? Or maybe, what's still holding you back? Drop a comment if this story touched you. Or leave a 1 in the comments if you've ever had to choose yourself over family expectations. Tell me where you're watching from. I'd love to know how far this message is reaching. And hey, if this resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more real, raw, and honest stories that just might sound a little like your own.